Okay, welcome back dear friends. I am Dr. Kalim Raza. In this video lecture we are going to discuss about HMP shunt. HMP shunt or pentose phosphate pathway. Pentose phosphate pathway, it basically occurs in your cytoplasm. And what is the significance of this important biochemical reaction in your body? That this pentose phosphate pathway or HMP shunt is basically required for the production of NADPH. It's required for the production of NADPH, and this NADPH is basically produced by glucose, produced by glucose 6-phosphate, and enzyme is glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase. So remember that NADPH is produced by pentose phosphate pathway by glucose 6-phosphate, and the enzyme is glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase. So rate limiting enzyme for HMP shunt is glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase, and the action of this NADPH, that it will keep your glutathione in reductive phase. Remember that glutathione is your potent antioxidant in your body which prevent your red blood cells from the oxidation, and this NADPH will keep your glutathione in reduced form. It will prevent, in other words, your red blood cells from oxidation. So prevent RBCs from oxidation. Number 2, NADPH is also required for biosynthesis of cholesterol and fatty acids. And what are the sites in your body where this HMP shunt takes place? In liver cells, then mammary gland, lactating mammary gland, in RBCs, so adrenal cortex also, so remember all these sites. These are the sites where HMP shunt, this biochemical reaction will take place. Liver, lactating mammary gland, RBCs and adrenal cortex. So function of this glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase is basically production of NADPH. And NADPH, why NADPH is required? Because NADPH is keeping your glutathione, which is potent antioxidant, in reduced form, prevent from the oxidation, and then it required for biosynthesis of the cholesterol and fatty acids. Now why this is clinically very important? Because NADPH enzyme deficiency, this is the most common enzymatic deficiency in the world. So remember, glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase, G6PD deficiency, anemia. What is glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency anemia? G6PD anemia. That glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase, as I have already mentioned, that this is an enzyme which is required for the production of NADPH in pentose phosphate pathway. So this is the most common enzymatic deficiency. Most common enzymatic deficiency in world, especially in African countries plus the South Asian countries where malaria is very common. So what happens basically, and what is G6PD deficiency anemia? Remember, that G6PD glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase is the rate limiting enzyme for the HMP shunt. Now what happens if there is deficiency of G6PD? As I have already mentioned that this G6PD is commonly deficient in South Asian countries, especially the malaria endemic regions, and we are also having lot of malarial cases. So this is also a part of malaria endemic territory in our country also, and then South Asian countries. So this G6PD deficiency, it's mean, in other words, there is deficiency of NADPH. There is deficiency of NADPH. Deficiency of NADPH. And when there is deficiency of NADPH, now there will be the oxidation of glutathione, and there will be destruction of the red blood cells. So destruction of red blood cells, especially against highly oxidizing agents. Especially, you can write that, especially against highly oxidizing agents like fava beans, and then primaquine, which is anti-malarial drug, also highly oxidizing, and then sulfur drugs, and then ATT, anti-tuberculosis drugs, anti-tuberculosis treatment, anti-tuberculosis drugs. So when you are taking these drugs and there is deficiency of G6PD, it means you are putting your red blood cell membrane at high risk to be oxidized, and there will be destruction of these blood cells, and there will be hemolysis. So hemolysis ultimately deficiency of the hemoglobin. So this is called as G6PD deficiency anemia. G6PD deficiency anemia. Now when there will be severe destruction of these blood cells, these are called as Heinz bodies. So what is the Heinz body? Heinz bodies, also sometime asked in your exam, what is the concept of Heinz bodies? So what is the Heinz bodies? Write please that precipitation of denatured globin chains, precipitation of denatured globin chains in red blood cells due to oxidative stress, due to oxidative stress. So now these globin chains inside the red blood cell are called as Heinz bodies. And when these Heinz bodies, these globin chains are sensed by splenic macrophages, which is part of your immune system, they will try to remove these debris from the red blood cells, and then they give a bite on the red blood cells, and that is called as bite cells. So bite cells, this is also sometime asked that bite cells, what is the concept of bite cells in G6PD deficiency anemia? That bite cells, that splenic macrophages try to clear these debris in the red blood cells that are deposited in the form of the denatured globin chain. So when they try to remove these debris, they will give a bite in the red blood cells, and red blood cells give a shape like bite cells. So I hope you understood the concept of G6PD, function of NADPH, and what is G6PD deficiency anemia. Thank you.